Papa Swole's coming. I'm coming for y'all. You ready? You ready for the gain train? Got a juicy one today. You ready for old Papa Gains? About to lay the schmack down.
The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, the bacon is sizzling. Welcome to the Daily Swole.
Testing, test Ickles. Welcome everyone to episode 784 of the Daily Mother Swole, the most muscular swolecast, beardcast, broadcast, gangcast, mancast, pimpcast, and sleevescast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex, we all flex our biceps. Beaches, I have a very special guest today. We are going to slam-wise Gamgee right into it in just a couple moments. We're going to talk a lot about weight loss. We're going to talk a lot about the things that you need to really essentially get your shit together with this weekend. And it is Flex Friday. And in order to honor Flex Friday the right way, we're going to talk about a lot of those issues that are going to plague you over the weekend and hopefully, honestly, change your mindset. And we've been talking a lot about mindset recently. And this dude has the exact mindset that you need to approach it. So whether you're trying to build muscle or whether you're trying to lose a lot of weight, this man has done it, and the mindset is everything. And we'll get into that in just a moment. So we're live on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and of course you can catch the podcast everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcast. Instagram is out in the cold today because we're doing a live call, so they're not going to hear it. So rather than just hear me listening, you can't hear me listen. So everyone on Instagram hopefully is coming over. I made the announcement over there, and I'm going to bring them on right now, and we'll jump right into it. So let me get these audio levels up. Steve, you there? What's up, man?
Yeah, I'm here, man. What's going on?
What's up? So let me just make sure I get these audio levels right. So everyone that's listening, you can say whether or not you're hearing Steve good. And why don't you just go ahead, Steve, introduce. I just kind of gave you the intro that we're going to talk a lot about mindset, because we just touched upon that before we just came live, I know. And, you talk a little about your journey, and then we'll just get into the nitty gritty. So everyone, here's Steve.
All right. So what's up, guys? So you obviously know my name. So I'm about 27, 28 years old. About 4 or 5 years ago, I started on a fitness journey. Pretty much my entire life I've been overweight, struggled with body image and shit like that. So, my mom and my best friend, got started getting on me a little bit, say, hey, I really wish you'd eat right. I really wish you'd exercise. I think you could drop so much weight. I think you could do so many great things. And I finally had a aha moment where, I was in this group photo. I saw a picture of myself and I was like, holy crap, man, that can't be me. And from then on, I hit it hard. I dropped 100 pounds, over 100 pounds from 2014 to 2015. I went from 285 down to 172, and then went back to school. So I went to get my bachelor's, and I taking gives me a reason to get out of bed. I'm also watching the podcast as I'm on the phone, so this is fun. So I went back to school to get my bachelor's. I initially was going to go for music education, stuff like that. And the program just didn't seem right for me. I was more interested in exercise. So I majored in wellness and exercise science, got my bachelor's in that. I told Papa Swole that towards the end of the year there, my last semester, I got complacent, and I started eating really poorly again. But I was still working out, so it's kind of that weird imbalance issue going on. And then I got into a relationship that lasted a couple months, and it ended poorly. And I was talking to my mom and kind of grieving and looking for her motherly advice. And she said, she's like, you're already in the gym all the time. Why don't you just get your eating habits back on track where you can be, and what you can do. You've done this before. Why can't you do this again?
Right.
And I did. And so I was up to 237 ish, down to like 206 right now. So I've dropped like 30 pounds since January. I'm getting stronger. I just pulled a deadlift PR a couple weeks ago. I think it was like 325 for the first time.
Nice.
And then shittily the next week, I rounded my back and I pulled a muscle. But back on the train now. I did back today, so feeling pretty good. And I'm feeling strong. I'm getting leaner and hitting those goals that I want to hit. And your content really gives me that extra motivation that I need to be consistent. I need to do what I say I'm going to do and get in there, put the work in, and just do the damn thing.
Yeah, far out, man. So how'd you originally come across my content to begin with?
I believe I was on YouTube, and I follow a crazy amount of fitness people like that do how-to videos and all that stuff, and stuff gets grouped.
Yeah, right.
By
so
genre,
suggested videos and stuff like that.
You might like Swole Enormous, and I watched one of your podcasts, and I was like, holy crap, this guy is cutthroat, like no bullshit,
out of his mind.
I'm like, I love this. I'm like, this is the bluntness is what fitness needs. It's not one of those, it's okay that you're overweight or type thing. It's like sometimes people just need somebody to be blunt with them and say, hey, you need to change.
What do you think? What do you think it is about? Are you on speakerphone, by the way?
Yeah, I can take you off.
Yeah. Take me off.
Okay.
All right, cool. So
my fan blowing. It's like the heat index is like 105 where I'm at, and it's like ridiculous because I have no AC.
Oh, ooh, geez. All right. So you and I are both sweating because actually I'm in Florida, and so I don't get so I don't get fan noise in the background because this air conditioner is old, so it kind of goes like rant, rant, rant. So I try to, I turn it off. That's why it's kind of nice doing the Swole either early in the morning or the evening. That's originally why I stopped. Yeah. That's originally why I stopped doing the 12 noon, because I was outside and just dying. So anyway, because you were overweight and you've been there, and I get this question asked a lot because they say, well, have you ever been overweight, Papa Swole? And I say, no, I haven't been overweight. And I fervently, and there's like this, you've probably seen it, the guy that went, what is it, like the fat to fit? Remember, you've seen that, right? Where the guy like gains weight on purpose.
Yeah.
Right. So he because he wanted to be able to relate to his clients better. Look, for me, I don't need to be extremely obese to understand what it's like to, that just it seems like, okay, I'm not going to damage my own body in order to be able to help other people. What do you think about, let's say, the videos that I make, that's very viral, the "you're fat" video, where I literally say, well, you're not gonna like what I have to say, but you're fat. And I lay the hammer down, and I don't coddle people. I don't put my arm around people. I want to help people, and I'm not being rude. I'm just telling people the way it is, not necessarily what they want to hear. As someone who agrees with that approach, obviously, and who has been overweight, what do you think is the missing piece? What do you think is missing for those people that get offended by that? For people that take offense and they're the ones that are overweight. What do you think is what's wrong with their situation? What's wrong with their mindset?
That's a really loaded question, and I can't really give you a direct answer. But I'll give it my best shot. I think we right now, you and I were talking before we went live. People get offended really easily, and unfortunately, we live in a society where that happens. It is what it is. We can change that. We just all have to do it at the same time and be on the same page, and that'll take a long time to happen. But as a formerly overweight person, it's one of those things where you get into a mindset where you don't like what you see, and then you try something. And for me anyway, it was, I was trying to lose weight, and yeah, denial is right. Um, it's one of those things where it's just like you try it and you're doing something wrong, so you're not seeing any results.
Yeah.
Or you want to see immediate results, but you're not seeing the results.
Right.
So it's like, oh shit, well, I'm doing this wrong, so I might as well quit.
Well, that's for someone.
Well, there's mistake number one. You give up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's for someone who's
Sticking
started.
with it.
That's for someone who started. What about these people that just see that? I get it. I get how a lot of people might see that video. They've seen it and then they come back to it. I've heard people tell me that are really that are members of the community that even like joined my private community, Swole Enormous X. They got offended by it and they're like, oh, who the fuck is this bearded asshole? They put their phone down and later on in the day they're thinking about it. Well, he's right. I do have to do something, and they end up being a great member of the community. So they get offended at first. I mean, what about someone someone said in denial. Is it denial or is it just? I mean, it's patience too, right?
Yeah, a lot of it is impatience, and a lot of times I'm even an impatient person. You want to see things and you want it to happen, and it does. It's not overnight. It's a day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year basis, and a lot of people just, I don't think that they're either impatient or they think that, oh well, I'm fat. My mom's fat. My dad's fat. My grandpa, my grandma, my aunt, my uncle. It runs in my family.
No,
obesity does not run in your family. You know what I mean? I'm big boned. No, you're not big boned because everybody's got different bone density. But what's big boned? You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing that kind of will set me off on a different rampage. So I won't go on that right now. But it's just one of those things where they accept that they're fat and they live their life that way. And it's like, okay, well, if you're happy living your life that way, fine, do what you want, but don't be mad at me for, being concerned about watching what you eat and seeing things that you put in your body and
sure.
And possibly, and trying to be nice about it and saying, hey, even if you try this, like, you can see immense results, even if you just, if you're like I remember I call him my mentor. He was my advisor in college. He used to be a bodybuilder. He said, it was just, even if he told us, like, in a personal training class, like, even if you just cut out things that you're eating that are bad for you on like if you eat ice cream before bed every night of the week, cut it down to 5 days a week. Cut it down to 3 days a week, cut it down to 1 day a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's a gradual process. And that's the same thing, like, with what training is, you know what I mean? You're not going to start out squatting 225 for reps, it's one of those things you have to work for it. And
sure.
And it's either people not wanting to put in the work or think they can put in the work, but, just accept the fact that, hey, this is what I am. This is what I'm going to be.
Yeah, fitness is a lot different. Fitness is something that is interesting because it's not that, all right, you go play basketball and while you're playing basketball, you're getting better at playing basketball. Of course, there's different levels depending on what, how high you want to take that. But with fitness, there's many different aspects to overall health, and it's a big lifestyle change for a lot of people. Let me bring up that picture. So everyone that's watching, this is exactly what picture I'm bringing up right now. So why don't you break down this picture, like what that time frame is on the left and on the right, and just talk a little about that.
Yeah. There it is. Okay, so left there is about May 2014. That is the exact picture that I saw that I knew I wanted to change. That's the before picture I use every single time I show somebody. The right, I think that was after I hit like the 110 pound down mark. I was in the 170s and I was running miles and miles, 3 times a week and trying to go lift 2-3 times a week. So I was trying to get, to get cut and get lean and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you kind of look at my hand in the picture on the left there, you can see it's like kind of darker. This is because I have psoriasis, and my psoriasis was through the freaking roof. And it's been an ongoing battle since I was about 13, 14 years old. And as soon as I started eating better and as soon as I started exercising, holy shit, like my hand cleared up. Like even now you can't even tell. Like it's a little scarred, but like you can't tell that I have it.
Damn, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's, I
Huh.
mean, it's what's the, like what goes on with your body it's amazing at how kind of directly related it is to what you put in.
So you, and for anyone that's just tuning in, you have a background, you have a degree in exercise science.
I do, yes.
I kind of want to go down the road of what you do for work or how you work now, because you have a perspective through
Mm-hmm.
what you see at work. And not a lot of people have that same perspective. I do. I've been around that a lot. And that's why I'm always
Mm-hmm.
talking about the long term. So we talked about impatience. We talked about, self-belief is very important. Of course, impatience. Most people are impatient. I'm impatient sometimes myself. What the long term and the long play and training and the mindset for the future is really everything, in my opinion. And I'm trying to be, I
Oh, yeah,
get
me too.
essentially that fitness dude who's, yeah, you can get abs. That's great. Yeah, you can get bigger biceps. That's great. Yeah, you can lose all this weight. That's great. But I'm more about, if you're doing it for the right reasons for the long term, those other things that you want, like the aesthetics, like the weight loss, those things will come into, as a result of that. You just have to change your perspective and what target you're aiming for. So talk a little bit about how your work that you're currently doing has impacted
Mm-hmm.
how you look at your own personal fitness.
Yeah. So but obviously the viewers don't know. I work in a nursing home. I technically the building that I don't work in is a nursing home. It's kind of like a retirement building, I guess. It's for the elderly that are still independent, can still come and go as they please. I work in the kitchen and I work at the front desk. So imagine trying to lose 100 pounds while freaking having to scoop up cake and pie and ice cream and every day. That was hard, but that's a different story. So I see, and it's still hard now, but the thing is more and more, not just at work, but in my personal life, I have family members that have diabetes, and I've had family members that have passed away from cancer, and it's it makes you think, like, to be really, really cognizant of what you put in your body. You know what I mean? It always comes back to, what am I eating? You know what I mean? Is this gonna give me diabetes in 20 years? Is this gonna shoot my blood pressure through the roof? It's always one of those things where you want to be strong, but at the same time, give yourself a tiny bit of flexibility. Like, it's like, okay, live your life. You're gonna go out, you're gonna have beer, you're gonna have a piece of pie. It's whatever, I mean, but at the same time, it always comes back to, are you eating that in excess? And if you are, do you want to face the repercussions that can possibly happen?
True. There's
And
there's focusing on the now. Of course, every day is kind of like laying down a brick. You lay it down one at a time, and they all
right.
either equal the final structure. What I find is people using that to their advantage in order to make excuses. So you can take a piece of pie or cake or chips or something and say, okay, it's only today. It's only today. It's only right now. It's only a little bit. And that kind of keeps that motor running in a sense. And then that, oh, it's just a little bit today becomes, it's just a little bit tomorrow and the next day. And you end up almost backtracking by focusing on the now. So I think the now is really important. And you have to focus on today, because if you're not crushing it today, you're not on point today, then you're not adding up.
You might not be on point tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah.
But the sum of all those things, sure. And it's very easy to look at a math equation and say, well, it's, if you're eating healthy, and I see this a lot online when I poke around, when I do, I see all these things on YouTube and the internet. If you're eating, well, all you have to do is eat healthy 80% of the time. I follow the 80-20 rule, and they're not even talking about 80% nutrition, 20% gym, which is just the most arbitrary bullshit numbers ever created. 80% healthy.
I used to tell people it was that until I realized that it's 100% passion and 100% everything.
Yeah, it's the number is immeasurable, and it's different for each person. But the mental means, okay, but they're saying now, and I see people saying this now, it's 80%. if you have your diet 80% on point, that 20%, I'm like, yo, you're telling people to eat that they can eat crap 20% of the time, or 20% of the, whatever 20% you calculate, that's massive. That's massive. And I did the math a couple weeks ago. One cheat day a week, let's say it's a cheat meal. If you have a cheat meal on a Sunday, for example, that whole day is a cheat day. Like you're off your game.
Oh yeah, I just had one of those, and I gained like 5 pounds in a day.
Right. Just like
horrible.
water retention. Right. So, but if you
Yep.
do that math, and it's one day a week, and that's 52, you're doing one day a week, and that's 52 days a year, and you do the math, and it comes out to in terms of everything, it was like 14%. It was like 14% of your year you are not on track. So if you start adding those things up, those little things here and there, there's speed bumps in the short term. My whole point of this, of this delivery right now is, if you just take those little things in the moment, might seem insignificant, and then it fucking adds up. It adds up real fast.
It does. It really does.
So what was your vice? Because success is never a straight line. Success is never a strate line.
No.
Success is never perfect. What was your did you fall off? Did you kind of gain weight back? Did you have a speed bump? What got you back on? What was your journey like?
Yeah, I had my bumps. This year has been really shitty in an aspect in my personal life, more so than it really ever has been. In January was when it really started. Girlfriend broke up with me through a text message, and I got really mad.
Through a text message?
Now I wish her the best. Yeah, through a text message. Yeah.
It
was a distance relationship, like, because I met her at school, and she lived in by Chicago, and I went to school in Iowa, so Dubuque, Iowa.
Okay.
And I live about an hour from there. I'm kind of at the halfway point between, maybe a little bit more than halfway. I live like 2 hours west of Chicago.
Gotcha.
That gives you an aspect. So I'm out kind of in like, not the boonies, but like
far enough away.
Like it's corn pretty much everywhere I go.
Gotcha. Understood.
Yeah. So we broke up, and that was kind of like the reason. That was kind of like, oh man, and I stepped on the scale and realized, like, oh man, I really gained some damn weight. And then, like I said earlier, I was talking to my mom, and she kind of pushed me to get back on track, and it was, and then dealing with like anxiety on top of it, like it sucks. So like I coped with it through the gym. I went to the gym, as much as I could, for as like I found reasons to go to the gym. Like, oh, my anxiety's up, I'm gonna go do cardio, or I'm gonna go do deadlifts, or I'm gonna go do squats, or whatever. So that was January, and then March came around, and I had a close friend of mine. He used to date my mom. He passed away from cancer, and so that was hard. And then the following month, in April, in January, my grandma also moved from out here to out by Baltimore. She was diagnosed with cancer, lung cancer, stage 4, and had a brain tumor. After she had a stroke, I guess, is what my uncle told me. And then, after running tests, they found the cancer, and did surgery on her brain, and they got the brain tumor, so it helped her last a little bit longer. And then in May she passed away. So I was able to go out there and kind of say my goodbye after she passed, and see some family that I haven't seen in a while, and and at the same time kind of have a good time, like just to be like as a share her memory type thing.
Yeah.
And then so like with all that, like it was a constant, like I had a little bit of a setback, I was like, I kind of stopped, and I was kind of eating whatever, and then it was a quick realize, like, you're better than this, grandma wouldn't want you to do this,
right?
Yeah,
use that to fuel.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's just like, you're better, you can do better. And
right.
I cracked down on it, and and it was one of the gym was always the place that I wanted to go when I had a hardship. It was just, I want to go work out. This is what I like to do. This is what I'm passionate about. And people were constantly asking me, how do you stay motivated? And And that's a common question. And the thing that I've learned, and I always tell people now, is it's more. I don't like to use the word motivate, and I think you might have said this, and this is might have where I've gotten it from.
Yeah, I hate I hate that fucking word. Motivate. I hate that fucking word.
I would rather use the word inspire.
Yes.
You know, if you're inspired, you never have to worry about being motivated, because if you're inspired, you want to go in and you want to do the work and you want to eat right and you're gonna see the results. You know what I mean?
No doubt, man.
It's one of those things where it's just like if you're inspired, you do the shit.
Yep.
And that's all it is. And it's like you hit the nail on the head the other day. You just do it. Stop overthinking. Stop over talking. Clear your mind and just do the damn thing.
Yeah, I do that with myself, even with just the amount of content I put out. Lately, I've been actually a little bit more lax with it. Just not overthinking certain styles, and not overthinking even my workouts. Not overthinking certain things. My goals are to go to the gym. My goals are to produce X, Y, and Z. And the more you think about things, the less you actually take action. So it's less thinking and more doing. What I liked and what I do want to talk about more is the mindset you had when you had all those hardships. Because as Melissa says on Facebook, sad, sorry, very rough year. Yes. And I launched Swolenormous officially, and I went hard on all this content after both my grandfather and my grandmother passed within a few months of each other. And
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's life, you know. I'm going to die, everyone's going to die, and I appreciate that, and likewise to you. But what I like about it, and what I like about what's going on here, because we have that similar, and everyone here has had a grandparent, everyone, right? If you haven't had a grandparent pass away, either they did already or they're going to. I mean, that's literally what humans do. So as hard as it is, it's how you perceive it and how you use it for your progress. So you were thinking, you know, she wouldn't want you to gain all this weight back. She wouldn't want you to lose your moving forward and the inspiration. And there's a quote on my wall that is, and I have all, obviously behind me, there's tons and tons of quotes, tons of little things I say to myself and things I pulled off online, is that you don't lose passion and you don't lose motivation, you lose purpose. And if you have your purpose, you can, right, like you were saying, if you have your purpose, you don't need this whimsical, emotional, motivational roller coaster, because you have your reason. So it has that just fucking that stronghold on your soul, and then that builds the discipline.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
So what would you say is what's your long-term approach? Like, what do you think about? I know you've had success. What do you think about when you go to the gym? Is it just a habit now and you just do it? Do you have any more specific goals with where you're at right now in terms of physique or in terms of strength gains? Like, do you have any mini goals?
I've kind of got a lot of. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, just like mini goals, like, because obviously you want to be healthy, and that's what I like about the nursing home perspective, because you see people that can't take care of themselves for the most part, and that's. You know, that's tough.
Well, I mean, I work in the independent part, so I mean, they can take care of themselves for the most part.
They're in a fucking nursing home, man. They're in a nursing home. I mean, you're going to a nursing home, they can take care of themselves. I mean, still it's independent, but you know, that's the next step, you know?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, you know, unfortunately things happen, and
sure.
And, you know, they digress a little bit, and it's really sad to see, because you get connected to them and you build relationships with them, and you know, they become your friends, they become your family, and it's one of those things where it's like
they're people, they're human beings, absolutely.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
no question about that. My point is not so much that that wasn't really the right analogy. The fact that they, you know, obviously there's independent, but the fact that you're around people in that phase, if you want to call it, of their life, and it's really hard to have perspective about age. When you're 20, you have perspective, limited perspective. You know what it's like to be 15. You know what it's like to be 10. When you're 35, you know what it's like to be 30. You know what it's like to be 25. It's really hard to put yourself in someone's shoes when you're 80 years old, and not that it's too late, but I mean, you're 80 years old. You know what it's like for everything that happened before. Yeah, it just keeps on going, So, right. Yeah. So, but it kind of helps to spend a lot of time with elderly people, because then it gives you a little bit of third person perspective. It gives you a little bit of a vantage point that you don't have if you're always around people your age and your parents, and in that kind of sense. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I love that you said that, because the thing that I just thought of before you ended your question there was like the fact that I love sitting and talking to them, and I love hearing about their life, what they did and what they were passionate about, and what they're still passionate about. And then, and then they ask me, and then you have a healthy conversation, and they give you tips on, moving forward. And it's like, because like, obviously I don't know what to do. Nobody knows what to do as you grow. You just kind of wing it and learn, and it's one of those things where I always try to take everybody's perspective into thought and moving forward, and asking myself, okay, how can I utilize their advice in my life, and how do I do this? So it's like, so my dream, after I lost all that weight, my dream was to open up a gym, and that's still my goal. That's what I went to school for. That's what I wanted to learn about training. That's what I wanted to learn about, nutrition and anatomy and kinesiology. I'm passionate about anatomy and kinesiology. I love learning about how the body moves, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I can never get enough of it. I'm constantly reading on it, and I'm learning new things and trying to implement that. But it's just like, I feel that everything moving forward has to go to the end goal. Yeah. And constantly thinking of that, having that gym, which I'm not going to have within the next 10 years because of having to pay off student loans and stuff like that. But that's part of the process. That's why we learn. Sometimes you have to pay to learn, and that's the sacrifice that I had to make. Was like, I'm going to have to pay this money back. How am I going to make this money? How am I going to get out into the wellness field and make a name for myself? And,
right.
And it's like, I've got that kind of personal name. Like, people know me on Instagram, kind of. Sometimes most of my followers are people that I know in my personal life, but I've met people through weight loss journeys and stuff like that, and become close friends with them, and we swap stories, and that's cool. But it's one of those things like, okay, how do I do this? So it's like, I always think of that gym, like, and that's why I'm always in the gym, because in fitness, and it kind of goes back to like the conversation where, well, you've never been overweight and I've been overweight, and how do we meet in the middle? Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where if you're a trainer or you're a gym owner or you're this or you're that, in fitness, it depends on how you look. You know what I mean? Like, are you going to take nutrition advice from the guy that's, got a beer belly, or are you going to take the guy's advice that looks like you know what I mean? That's got bicep peaks for weeks. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things that it's like, it depends on how you look. It depends on how you present yourself. It depends on how you speak. It depends on so many things that just goes into doing it. You know what I mean? And that's what I think about. Like, okay, who's gonna look at me today and say, I take that guy's advice? Mm-hmm. Who's going to look at me and say, I'm not gonna take that guy's advice, because I'm not that lean right now. I'm like, I still got loose skin, I still got body fat, and that's my goal right now, is to lose that body fat and then look the part. Yeah, you have to look the part.
I think there's a lot of out of shape trainers, but when it comes to being like a personal trainer or something like a coach, there's a lot more than just looks, and that's important. I mean, I always, that's almost like,
I agree.
It's a resume. It's a physical resume.
You go to school for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you go to school for that stuff. So it's like, you're well versed.
Yeah.
Like, personally, like, I can help this person, mm-hmm. but do they want me to help them? Do they, you know what I mean? It's, it's like, unfortunately, a lot of it comes off like, first impressions. And it's like, oh, look, that guy's a dick, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like, it's like,
I do. I'm sure I have a lot of people that get that first impression from me, which is totally fine. In this day and age, you need to grasp and capture attention. You have to get their attention before you can tell them anything. So sometimes that slap in the face and be like, hey, by the way, you're fat. And then they're like, hey, who's this guy? And they're going to leave some hate on my page, and they come and check it out. And like, oh, he actually helps people. That was just a video.
Right.
But
I just saw a comment on your. I'm sorry to
yeah,
interrupt.
no,
but
go ahead.
I really think this is important. I just saw a comment come up on the screen that says the mind is the most underused muscle in the body, and
Sure.
I totally agree with that, because it's like it all starts there. It all starts there.
It all starts well with the mind. The mind controls the body, and for yourself and for anyone that is familiar with anatomy and just how the body functions, the brain is what controls the muscle activity. And we worry so much about the strength training. We worry so much about the food and the supplements, and those are all obviously extremely important. And there's really a hierarchy. There's really a hierarchy and a level of what you, and this is how I promote, this is how I work with my programs. This is how I approach this with members of Swolenormous X. This is how I used to always approach this with clients. There's like that hierarchy of needs. There's that hierarchy of health. And to get someone into, and I'd like your opinion on this, we can, this can follow into the discussion. The foundation, it's always, for me, it's fitness first. Everyone goes for the diet. They go for the crash diet. They go for any kind of thing.
I hate those damn diets.
Right. And
I don't like the word. I don't like them using the, that's one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt again. I just get like a squirrel sometimes with my attention span. I don't like when people use the word diet as a verb, like I'm dieting or anything like that, because like from my aspect, in my opinion, like diet is a noun. Diet is what you put in your body on a regular basis.
Well, diet's actually a breakdown from Greek. Diet means just way of eating or way of living. So let me just give you this pyramid. So imagine a pyramid. The foundation is fitness, because once you get your body with the habit of physical activity, then you can move into, and then you can actually pay attention to nutrition, because it's much harder to reverse nutrition and to get that in place, especially with the way society and everything is, than it is to get physically active. And plus, when you start getting physically active and you're exercising, you don't want to ruin your workout and your effort. You want to refuel. So it's better to focus on fitness first, then nutrition, and then higher up is the mind. And here's the interesting thing that I want you to to voice your opinion on is, when you train your body physically, all right, that's challenging. Nutrition, okay, fine. And with that comment that the mind is the most undertrained, the mind controls everything. And we as a society, as a fitness, no one really talks enough about how powerful the mind is and how little we know about the mind. And we don't train the mind the way we train the body, and we don't even actively recover enough. So we have the strength training, we have the supplements. What are we taking? What are we doing? The program design, what exercise is best for biceps? Should I do incline curls? Blah, 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 blah. All those little things that matter in a specific sense, but then we're not paying attention to inflammatory foods. We're sucking down supplements, X, Y, and Z. And then once we have the nutrition, it's like, okay, what about the active recovery? Are you doing yoga? Are you balancing out all that stress? Okay. And then after that, it's what about the mind? Are you strengthening your mind and your resolve and your stress, which translates to literally every single aspect of your entire life all the time? Every time you have a thought, that's your mind. Right now, while you're listening to me, that's your mind. Every single moment. And that's why I've been pushing meditation and talking about that so much, because once you strengthen your mind and you eliminate the noise, everything else makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I started meditating this year. I've been kind of slacking on it lately, but I'm trying to get back into it. But I found that it personally, for me, it really allows that, just kind of like, first it calms that anxiety a little bit, because like obviously anxiety is your mind just overworking, overthinking, and it allows you to stop. And I use I know you mentioned Headspace yesterday. I really like 10% Happier. It's got a couple different people. It's got a couple different ways to approach things. It's just one of those things where I can't remember the guy's name, unfortunately, but he really comes at it from a just start again approach. It's okay that a thought comes up when you're meditating. Just oh, I had a thought, let it go,
Mm-hmm.
and you start again.
Yeah, of course.
You focus on the breath. You focus on the awareness that to sit and know you're sitting, and
Mm-hmm.
and if you have something happen, like you're sweating, like, oh, there's a trickle of sweat running down my nose.
Of course.
What am I feeling?
Yeah, and
And
Headspace
it's one
does
of
the
those
same.
things.
Yeah, Headspace does the same thing. It's more of it's the observation rather than the immersion. And I used the analogy yesterday that, and you might have seen this, kind of like when there's a lot of thoughts, there's a lot of traffic, right? And the difference
Right,
between
right. I love that
meditation,
analogy.
yeah, but the difference and Headspace use that too, but the difference between, and the way that I kind of come at it, when there's traffic, if you're not meditating, you're stressful, it's like you're sitting in a car in that traffic. Like you let your thoughts consume you, your feelings consume you. Again, it goes back to the motivation and your emotional state, which is fleeting. And then you absorb yourself in like a negative thought and you just wrap yourself all up in that. Whereas, like you
Yeah.
said, when you're meditating, you're still going to have thoughts. You're always going to have thoughts. Thoughts are never going to stop, but you're able to essentially pick and choose and not pay attention to the ones that don't matter, or observe them for what they are and then kind of sift through it. It just it organizes things a lot more, and your mind becomes
Yeah.
quieter and you're focusing on the stuff that really matters.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I had a thought come up while you were saying that. Like, my uncle, he lives out in California. He's one of my best friends. We talk, off and on. He was the one that kind of got me to going into the meditation, and it was, it was just crazy. And he used the analogy, like, look at the big picture. Zoom out and take emotion out of it, as difficult as it can be. Take emotion out and look at the big picture. Are you where you want to be? If not, look at the steps that you need to take to get there. You know what I mean? It's like, and I think that kind of goes, it's going to be a weird analogy probably, because I suck at describing things sometimes, but it's kind of like that, a million thoughts coming at you at once, and it's having to sift through and find the ones that matter, and looking, okay, like, is this going to matter in 2 weeks, let alone a year? Is this a step that I need to take? Is this a step that I want to take? It's one of those things where you really need to slow down sometimes. Like, we go at a pace where we're stressing ourselves out. You know what I mean? Like, you constantly, like, even like if you're at work sometimes and you're just going, you're just putting more stress on your mind than you need, and then you're thinking, okay, I got to do this, 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 and I got to do this. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're talking 100 miles a minute, and the next thing you know, you're driving home, and it's like, crap, did I do this? And it gets to be a ridiculous point, because with all the stressors that we already have in our lives, we're only making it worse sometimes.
Oh, we don't need to add to it, for sure. Yeah.
Right. And I think it's just important to slow down and look and like my uncle said, just sit down, take emotion out, look at the big picture. Are you where you want to be?
Yeah.
If not,
the facts working backwards. Yeah, sure. What steps are, and that's where the vision comes in. That's where the end game and your purpose and what you want to do. And I think a huge component of that, and the reason why it's hard to break into that kind of mindset and regain that, is I shouldn't say everyone, most people get thrown into just like the system in this country, and get into jobs and careers that they don't like, which just manifests this elemental base level of stress that you can't get rid of until they actually follow what they're passionate about. But they can't, because now they have a family and they're stuck as an accountant. I mean, I'm sure some people like being an accountant. Some people like it, but fuck, I'm sure how many people hate being a fucking accountant? How many people hate being a lawyer?
I hate math.
Right. I mean, some people love it, which is great. Some people are just stuck, and it's hard to even meditate your way out of doing something you don't like every day. I don't know. I get questions a lot. about my journey and what I should or what I recommend if they're interested in the fitness field and they're interested in they're interested in becoming a personal trainer and getting into the fitness industry. And I'm like, if you want to do it, you're never going to regret doing it. You're just going to regret not doing it. And if that's what you're passionate about, you want to do that every day, then fucking do it. And you don't need my permission. Of course, they're asking for advice, but it's like, hell yeah, like do it. You're not going to regret it. You'll regret the things you don't do, but at least you'll be doing something you like. And that's one thing that, personal training is not easy, and building your own business and having your own clientele. And it's stressful too, because if they leave and then you're not making as much money and you have to be on it, but at the same time you have control and you're doing something you enjoy doing. You're in the gym, if that's for you. So it's kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of stress at that base level of things. People are just doing stuff they don't want to do.
Yeah. I often think about that too. It's one of those things where, like, how do I not settle? You know what I mean? How do the town that I live in, I like the town. It's my hometown, but I don't want to live here. You know what I mean? I want to go on to bigger things. I want to explore. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it and not have to base it off of, oh crap, I got to work the next 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where and I think settling is obviously the enemy. And it's one of those things where it's just like, how do I not do this? Like, and honestly, I'm at a point, like, I don't freaking know, and it's one of those things where it's like, I got to learn. And then the only way to learn is to do shit that scares you, because it's cliche, but nothing good comes from a comfort zone. You know what I mean? Like, people overthink things and that's where it all goes awry, and it's one of those things that it's unfortunate that people get stuck doing things that they don't want to do. And, and then, and it gets on to a point where, like, later on down the line, they're like 75 years old and they're like, why did I work that shit job for 40 years? Like, yeah, the pay was good. Yeah, I got a nice 401k and I'm sitting on nice money, but I hate it every day going in. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that person. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to look back in 35 years and be like, I wish I would have done something different. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I'm passionate about what I'm passionate about. Like, that's the thing where I just want to be like, hey, this scares me. I should do this and see where it goes. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You know what I mean? Maybe I won't like it, but at least I tried, and you got to try, and you got to get up and it starts in your mind, man. It's just like, I've got to do this, whether I'm scared or not. I've got to do this.
Yeah. It's the whole comfort zone thing. And a lot of things, and you've the cliche quotes and stuff, that change happens outside your comfort zone, but it does when whether you're at the gym, whether you're doing anything with fitness in terms of training, but everything's outside of a comfort zone. And the number one reason why people don't get anything is they don't do it. They don't try. They never start. And it's going to be much harder than you expect.
With anything.
It's going to be much harder than you expect. It's going to be much harder than you anticipate. And you can tell someone over and over again that it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a struggle. And they say, no, but I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay, cool. That's why when I have people that come in all hot and ready and fucking super amped, I have people that are joining Swole Normers that are just super fucking amped. And I say, all right, well, actually, I'm going to do the opposite. I want you to calm down. I want you to slow down. Yeah. I want you to realize that this emotion right here, this is a vulnerability. Your excitement, your level of, I want to change, I want to lose all this weight. Great. I'm proud of you. That's a good thing to want. However, you're way too elevated, because that's going to come down. And what's building that foundation? What's underneath the surface of, I'm excited right now? Because in 2 weeks, when you're eating foods that are different and you're kind of going through that withdrawal where your body's craving your bacteria in your gut or craving sugar, and you see and you smell the pizza and you smell the burgers from McDonald's and all this crap that is bad for you, and you have that initial craving, what then? Are you excited then, or are you stressing yourself out? You have to temper that kind of excitement, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous to be really excited at
Right.
the start. I mean, how were you? Were you really amped up, or were you were kind of probably pissed off and like, I'm going to fucking do this. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, kind of. In the beginning, it was honestly in the beginning, I didn't know where to start. I like it's kind of weird because you say like focus fitness first and then nutrition. I did the polar opposite. I took the first 3 months and just like learned how to eat. Like, okay, what's good for me, what's bad for me.
Good.
And then I dropped like 50 pounds the first 3 months just from changing my eating habits. And then, or not, 50 is probably a lot. Let's say 30, 35 probably. I don't know why 50 just popped out. And then afterwards, I didn't even have a gym membership, man. Like, I was working out in a home. Like, I had 10-pound dumbbells, I had stairs, I had like an ab lounger thing, and I did body weight work.
Nice.
And 3 days a week. Like, that's all I did. And like that picture, that April picture that you had up, like that little grid picture that you had up earlier, like that was probably man, I don't know, a couple months after I got a gym membership. So like it was literally just like reps. It was all volume. It wasn't intensity. You know what I mean? And I didn't even know about like the science behind it until I went to school. So it was like, and now I have like a whole different understanding. So I mean, it's a little bit less complicated than it was then. But it was one of those things that it was just, you just gotta go and
Sure.
and it's just like, you just gotta take the time to learn. And the thing is that like I've always been afraid of failure for some reason. Like that was always my biggest fear. Like I've always like from junior high to college, like I always had good grades. Like I graduated with a 3.9 GPA from college, and
Damn.
I'm really proud of that. But that doesn't, like, I don't let that define me, because people are gonna be like, oh yeah, this guy's smart, but it's like I still have so much more to learn, and it's like you're strengthening your mind by learning more and more and more. So it's just one of those things that,
Education.
you can't be afraid to.
Education does not.
Can't be afraid to
you don't have
ask
to
for
be in
help.
school. Yeah, well, that too. And education is not dictated by, especially now when you just pick up your phone and do all the research you want. People just don't want to spend the time to actually look and do any of that. And one thing that I've learned as I've gotten older, and especially as I've done and kind of reached, and I'm just getting started, but in terms of, for example, what I'm doing with the broadcasting and social media, once you kind of reach that level where you're doing all of it and you're really at the top of your game and at like I guess like where the trend is going, you realize that no one has any idea what's going on. No one knows what they're doing in life, really. No one really knows. Everyone's kind of flying. You might have, oh, I know this.
Yeah, we're all just winging it.
Right. You know what you know until, oh, this is true. Oh, shoot. Or everyone's like, oh, and then all of a sudden a new app comes out or a new thing, or, oh, we're going to do video, or now this comes out and a new phone. Everyone's wearing goggles and virtual reality and shit. So everyone, and for example, like I was just reading something about, the new, the phones that have all this augmented reality and this, that, and the other, cool. And they advertise and people go and buy all this stuff. And then there are all these articles of people saying, yeah, but the reason why there isn't anything that really uses it, because people are still trying to figure out what people would like to see with it. They haven't made any apps for it yet because no one knows what really works. It's just interesting time that we have because we've been moving so fast. And as much as, and this is where I'm going with this, the dichotomy is that we're moving so fast with technology and everything moves so fast. And then all of a sudden you come back to fitness and the body is super, super slow, and evolution is just slow. So we have this blurred, like a Venn diagram. We have this blurred gray area where we want things fast and we have everything fucking fast. And then the body's like, no, we're not going to do this fast. We're going to go slow as shit. And it's like,
Right.
It freaks people out. It freaks people out. And we forget that the body isn't, we're not updating. When your phone has a new software update, you don't plug your body in and get like a new human 2.0. You're the same ancient 1,000,000-year-old fucking body.
Right. slow progress is better than no progress.
That's
you know
the
what I mean?
only way it happens, man. That's the thing. It's the only way progress happens is slowly. And like you experience, you have your ups and downs, like your family and your issues, and you might have a setback. You gain 5 or 10 pounds because you're eating and but you take that time for yourself and then you fucking get back on the train,
Exactly.
and that's it. And that's it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I'm sorry, just kind of trying to read comments at the same time. It's
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. So
I like the.
Yeah, let me address this.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
No, that's fine. So, John, I know you're blowing up the feed. I did notice you. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
It's okay.
No.
I do like the true failure is the lack of courage to do the right thing. I do agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where this conversation is. Kind of your comments are going up and down. I'm about to, dude. I mean, I appreciate your attention and your joining. I just don't. I don't know.
I agree. It's kind of constructive. Yeah, it's fine.
What's constructive? I mean, no. He's talking about part of the conversation. Get the chill out, bro.
If you're so scared to make a mistake, you'll never make the right decision. I do agree with that, and I kind of we got off track from where we were at the failure conversation.
No, it's fine.
I was always afraid of failure, but the journey helped me realize that you need to fail to learn. You know what I mean? And I didn't get to say that, unfortunately. But
no, it's fine. It's fine. I was just I'm paying attention to what you're saying. So go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Oh man, I'll stop.
Yeah,
it's fun. So yeah, no, sorry, I kind of got off topic, and now I don't.
Yeah, no shit. Nah, go ahead. We're talking about fucking no. Just say something. Who cares?
Just say something. All right. Well, so.
What do you want to talk about?
Follow me on Instagram.
You got that right? Yeah, actually, let me bring attention. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Yeah, so we got the. Make sure that if you're listening to the podcast, because not everyone is watching live, follow Steve on Instagram, and it's St Ellefson, so it's STELFSON on Instagram. So you can go check out his stuff, and I like your profile, by the way. Just because, a lot of what social media is lacking is actually people documenting their journey properly. You have a lot of people trying to sell stuff with fitness. You have a lot of people pushing supplements, and in the industry,
I do take supplements though. I think that's probably where you get mad at me.
No, I don't. I don't care if anyone takes supplements. I used to take supplements. I used to take all the protein, but I also realized when I stopped, nothing changes, bro. I have not taken a protein powder or any of that shit in forever, and I'm fine. It's all based around my hydration. It's all based around how I eat, and that's something that I forgot to say before. I had in my mind, it didn't come out. Was about when I was talking about that pyramid, that something as simple as hydration is much more important, much more important than food. And if you just take the facts that you can only live a couple days without water, but a couple weeks without food, it just makes it literally the most important. It's more important for you to drink water than it is for you to eat food. So everyone that's worried about your calories, if you're not sucking down a shitload of water, you're already missing the boat, which is just an interesting way to think about it. Go ahead.
And that's funny because like when I'm in the gym, generally I go, my prime time to go is like between noon and 3. I just like the time, it's when the gym where I go is calm.
Yeah.
So it's like I can kind of superset, compound set, do what I need to do.
Yep.
But like what I get up, I have my morning routine. I get up and I drink a fat burner, unfortunately, because I think that I'm just trying it to see if it's going to do anything, and don't notice a difference yet, but so like you said, I'll probably not spend $30 on that. But it's one of those things where I get up, I caffeinate, I eat breakfast, I go to the gym, and unfortunately sometimes I miss a meal, God forbid, and so like when I'm in the gym, I'm hungry. Like I guess that's kind of like figuratively and literally, I guess, but like I'm hungry to get the gains, and then I'm hungry to actually eat freaking food.
Right.
And so I'm sucking down water on water on water. Like I have a hydro flask. Like I always see your hydro flask in the videos and stuff.
Love it.
And I've got the 32 ounce one. So like I fill that bitch, and I'm drinking probably 1 gallon to 2 gallons of water in the gym alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then drinking 3-4 more of those after I get off. You know, I'm at work or I'm at home or whatever. So it's like I can easily drink 2 to 3 gallons of water like it's nothing, and then I get, you know, I go to a bar for dinner and I get a salad with, you know, chicken and you know, pick the healthier options, and they're like, hey, what do you want to drink? You want beer? And I'm like, no, I'll have water. And they're like, oh man, I don't drink enough water. And it's like, you should, you know, like I'm lucky if I drink 8 ounces, and I'm like, shit, I'm peeing every 45 seconds. Like,
I know, dude, it's nuts. But if you give your body enough, then it'll do it. It'll do with the rest. It'll get rid of what it doesn't need, and it won't hold water.
Right.
And a lot of people are trying to lose extra water weight. Well, you're not drinking enough water, so your body thinks I need to hold on to this water because we're in the desert. Your body doesn't know. It knows whether it has water or it doesn't. And a lot of times that thirst mechanism, which I'm sure you're aware of, is actually, you actually feel hungry when you're thirsty because it kind of gets stunted. That thirst mechanism shuts down, and then your body will actually feel hungry when you're actually thirsty. So everyone that's watching and listening, if you feel hungry and you have like hunger pains, go chug some water first and then go eat, because that will neutralize what you're craving in terms of water, and then you'll actually feel as hungry as you really are. So a lot of times you'll overeat, you get moisture in food, or you drink water with food, but you overeat calories. What are your, I just want to segue right into this topic. It just popped into my head. What are your thoughts or a personal experience? Have you ever done like things like intermittent fasting? I get that question a lot, so I know everyone's going to jump on this and be like, oh.
You know, I had somebody that just asked me.
Everyone asks
about intermittent fasting, and I don't know. I'm gonna be straight up honest. I don't know shit about it. All I know is like
fucking no one does.
If you don't eat for a certain amount of time, like
intermittent fasting, that's people, skipping
like,
breakfast.
I'm like, eat.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like I'm one of those people that like I'm like you got to eat. You know, like cutting so much food out of your diet and taking, you know, weight loss supplements and stuff like that, like pills that are gonna.
It's not bad for you.
Appetite.
Right. Intermittent fasting's not bad for you. It's just, in my opinion, it's like skipping breakfast. You're just not eating in the morning. And your total calories, and you see a lot of this. I think the questions come a lot from all the pre-roll ads that run on YouTube, and like the 6-pack abs and all these fucking guys are, you know, hey, intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is just fucking eating nothing all day until you eat in the evening. And the problem is, when you're not eating during the morning, you'll tend to overeat in the evening.
Right.
You'll tend to overeat and pound food.
Like you're hungry.
Yeah, of course you're fucking hungry. You haven't eaten all day. Now, if you get used to it, you don't feel necessarily as hungry. But you have all these YouTube jabronis like Kino Body and all these things like, this is how you get in shape. I'm like, that's how you look emaciated and skinny. And it's like,
you and I are on the same page with that. Like,
fucking
I love it.
Ass clown. I look at this and it's the most it's the most cringe YouTube shit I've ever seen. It's the most cringe. Okay, intermittent fasting, aka skipping breakfast, which people have been doing for a long time. And what no one is doing, people are talking about intermittent fasting, talking about keto, talking about this. I think I'm one of the few people that's fucking yelling about doing an elimination and talking about inflammatory foods. And you'll hear a lot of people saying, well, if you're eating less calories than you're consuming, you'll lose weight. Yeah, you'll lose weight. You're going to lose muscle too, jabroni. You're losing everything because your body is essentially starving to death. You're not getting enough for what you can maintain. And it's hard for me to get across. Like, what was your experience with any kind of elimination, cutting out a certain food and saying, I know you had something because you had psoriasis, like you mentioned, and then you didn't. So it came from cutting out the foods.
Right.
I don't think you mentioned what you were eating and then what you went to eat afterwards. Like, what's your experience with all that?
Honestly,
yeah,
I was eating everything. It wasn't like I was like I was a picky eater as a child. I'm not a picky eater now. I was like, it's like a large pizza, hell yeah.
All right, so
you know,
everything.
Mashed potatoes, yeah, everything, like literally everything.
And what'd you go to? And, like right when you're like, I'm gonna lose weight. What'd you do? Like, what was like? Did you just hit the brakes and say, I'm not gonna eat any of that shit? What was your approach to the nutrition?
I kind of
where'd you start?
Honestly, I started counting calories.
Okay.
I still log, and I know that like I shouldn't be based off of. It's one of I use it more as a tool to keep myself accountable and learn like what's in certain foods that I haven't had before.
Mm-hmm.
Around when I started, I don't know, man. The calculator like for the app that I was using had me at like 2,400 calories a day.
Okay, so
2,500
you
calories
went
a day.
you went by the number like most people. What I want to clarify first right now is there's no wrong. I talk about not counting calories. Okay. I talk about no supplements. I know you've seen my content. Just to clarify for the listeners and the viewers, and thanks for the follows on Twitch. Thank you. There's a lot of. I just want to clear up any misconceptions. There's no wrong way to do it. I talk about fitness first. It doesn't mean you can't focus on your nutrition first and change that. Because a lot of people, well, I diet, I lost all this weight. That's great. I just want to clear up any of the discrepancy because people think that's the way you have to do it. People think you have to count calories. I like the approach of let's figure out what foods, because you're going to be cutting calories anyway. If you're not drinking soda, you're not drinking processed foods, and you're doing an elimination, you're eating whole foods, and it's going to be hard for you to overeat. So essentially you are cutting calories probably by default, but you're going to figure out which foods are best. And then as a higher level on that hierarchy, on that ladder chain, when you climb up, okay, you got that. Now I know what foods to eat and what foods my body, I shit my brains out when I eat these. I feel great when I eat these. So how many calories now are you consuming of those? Caloric intake is a thing, but 200 calories of an avocado does not equal 200 calories on a step mill. It doesn't work like that. That's the weirdest fucking thing. It's not arithmetic. It's not, 100 in, 100 out. No, you idiot. If you're eating 100 grams or 100 grams or whatever of, let's say, peanuts, and you have a peanut allergy, it's not the same as any kind of calorie. You're eating 100 grams of essentially poison for your body. You can't tell me that that's anywhere near how it works. It's just not logical. There's no common sense that's being discussed.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I just knew to cut out junk food. Like stop eating pizza all the time.
Wow,
eating,
are you telling me that you, as an individual, you realized that junk food was bad?
Yeah. Oh my God, right?
Right, but dude, it's amazing. Come on, People tell me I don't know what to eat. Really? You don't know what?
And that's the thing.
You have no fucking idea. You have no fucking idea what to eat. You did it. I mean, come on, common sense, right? It's not. I know it's not common.
I tell people all the time. You know what to do. You just need to do it.
Yeah, it's like stop.
You know what to
fucking
eat.
Looking
what your body needs.
Yeah, agreed. That pisses me off. That pisses me off. I don't know what to do. Shit, fucking Google it in 2 seconds. I don't care what the sites are. I know right now what foods are the best way to lose weight or whatever. What should I eliminate to lose weight? Whatever the sites are, they're going to be pretty accurate. It's going to say cut out dairy. It's going to say cut out. It's going to say the same fucking shit. I guarantee it's going to be pretty accurate.
Cut out starch. Cut out this. Cut out that.
I'm sure, right? It doesn't say, eat McDonald's or how about this? This? Because obviously social media is huge, and there's two different ways to look at it. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of voices. Everyone has their own opinion now, and everyone can be seen, right? So everyone's got like their own little TV show going on. So you can look at it two ways. There's a lot of noise. What should I do? Oh my God, what should I do? I mean, people have been doing this for decades. It's only now that we're able to hear everyone's voice. So when you see, but this is powerful because, right, the media and what's out there is really what's on people's mind. That's why intermittent fasting is so popular, because everyone's talking about it. One celebrity just has to talk about intermittent fasting, and then it's the next thing, intermittent fasting, keto, blah, blah, blah. Yep. So not that they're wrong, but it's a fad. It's not that it's a fad as in it doesn't work. It's just that's the buzzword right now. Keto, paleo, that. Okay. So yeah, go ahead.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I know like keto can be beneficial, and I know the benefits of it. What's your personal take on the craze? Because like honestly, I freaking hate it because I couldn't imagine consuming like 70 grams of carbs a day, because I freaking love sweet potatoes, and I am a big fruit and vegetable eater. Like I love vegetables, I love fruit, and I could sit there and snack on that all day.
Okay.
Like I can't understand like not putting a certain amount of carbs in your body, because like obviously I cut carbs to lose weight. You don't eat starch, you don't eat bread, you don't eat this, you don't eat that. You pick and find what works for you personally.
Right.
But like, how do you go about that for like a specific amount of time? Like, how do you go a month eating 70 grams of carbs a day? I would go insane.
Well, that's why it doesn't work for a lot of people. And here's the interesting thing when it comes to keto. And I mean, maybe this will this will lead us further down this direction, which is fine. This is a great topic. Everyone's curious about nutrition all the time. one of the reasons why it got this craze and that it's successful with a lot of people is water molecules essentially attached to carbohydrates. When you drop carbs, you're going to lose weight because you lose water. Okay. So
Right.
you cut carbs. Wow, I lost 10 pounds in the first week. Okay. You like literally lost water.
Weight.
Of course. You know, and you might have lost. And so you get this false sense of, wow, this is working. And then, of course, that plateaus really quickly. And then there comes in, you know, all the cravings or the shift over or the keto flu, all these different things. So your body just shifts the energy mechanism in which nutrients or energy is provided to the body. So your body shifts over to blood ketones rather than using glycogen and muscle glycogen. I did keto for a while, and
did you?
Yeah, and because I have a very high fat diet. I do not do keto, but I eat very high fat. I eat very high fat. My ground beef, my grass fed beef is 55% lean, so I eat it's like 45% fat.
Oh wow.
I do a lot of grass fed butter. I do avocado, olive oil, coconut oil, MCT oil, all that stuff. I also eat sweet potatoes. I have my salads. I have kale. I have I have greens, and I do eat some in season fruit and some things here and there, depending on, you know, what I eat a lot of watermelon. It's in season. So I literally will sit down and eat a whole fucking watermelon like a psychopath and piss my brains out. I just love watermelon. So, you know, I mean, it's 92% water. So you get some sugar, but I'm working out too. So it's hydrating. I'm in Florida, you know, you need water. So that's like my thing, but it's in season fruit, which is a whole other conversation. So when it comes to the craze is the weight loss, because it does help your body shift to burning fat, metabolizing fat. It makes your body more efficient at metabolizing fat. And if you have a lot of extra body fat on your body, it makes your body more efficient at utilizing fat at rest, which we're all doing anyway. When you're at a low intensity, not doing anything, you're burning 100% of fat, but it's a small amount of calories because you're not expending a lot of energy. That's why weightlifting helps. That's why that EPOC and all your repair mechanisms after a workout, that's what you do outside the gym. That's what helps you lose weight, because your body is utilizing a higher level of energy, because you're maintaining muscle size, you're maintaining and repairing tissue and resaturating the body with nutrients, oxygen, all this different stuff because of your work. Your body has to repair, and that's why you would, I would say, metabolize fat more when you're strength training, because you are burning a higher percentage of a higher quantity of calories, and that's where you utilize fat. But the keto, I did it, and I did not like it for strength training. It was good. My skin.
And that's how I train for the most part.
But my skin quality, I mean, when you have a high fat diet, your skin quality is amazing. Energy was good. Energy was good. I felt great. I felt more calm. I didn't get hunger cravings. I didn't crave things. You're not on that carbohydrate roller coaster, which caused a lot of people to crash. And not to mention, most of the shitty foods that you'll get are carbohydrates: breads, pasta, rice, you name it, sugar,
all the shit that you like,
right? So soda, all the crap. And but here's the thing: that's another reason why I would say keto. Not that it doesn't work. I mean, obviously it does work. I mean, for how long you should do it, we don't have a lot of studies on that, man. We don't have the studies. So before I get that you respond to this, one of the reasons why it picks up that fad thing, and because it's so successful, it gets confused with the fact that, oh, the keto works, the high fat that works. Sure. However, with paleo, with keto, with vegan, you're cutting out the shit. You're cutting out McDonald's, you're cutting out soda, you're cutting out candy, you're cutting out cake, you're cutting out all these things that are heavily carbohydrate based, and using vegetable oils and polyunsaturated fats. You're getting rid of all that stuff. So whether it's paleo or keto, people do either one and swear by it because they lose all this weight. Yeah, you're cutting out 95% of the shit you were eating. Of course, you're going to lose weight and feel better. So the nuances is if you're doing strength training and you want to build muscle and you really want to you got to eat carbs. No one's staying healthy by cutting out carbs completely. No one's going to be shredded and ripped when you're cutting out carbs. Bodybuilders cut carbs and they look big and pumped because they're taking steroids that keep their muscle tone and their hormones skewed. It's not natural. When you cut carbs for too long, you get flat as fuck. And that's why if you ever looked at pictures or a natural bodybuilding competition, everyone just looks emaciated and sick. It's like fucking concentration camps in World War II. People just look sickly and skinny and fucking just like they're dying. Like, your body needs carbohydrates. That's what saturates the muscle tissue. That's what saturates. And
then they get those carbs in them after after all that time, and then it's like peeing out of places you don't want to pee.
Well, I mean, that's why like before a show, you're doing hardcore dieting. Right before they go on stage, they eat like Snickers bars and donuts right before they go on, because they get that glycogen, they get that sugar pump, and they just fucking look ripped, and their veins are bulging out because our body is rushing and flooding. Their insulin receptors are just flooding the muscles full of glycogen. They get that full pump. But, that's obviously that's not the epitome of health. That's just a specific sport for a specific, outcome. But that's my take on keto. I don't think it's bad. I don't care what people do. I don't care. You can intermittent fast, you can keto, you can paleo, you can go vegan. Bottom line, that's why my approach is we have to figure out what's best for your body, what foods you react to, because you could be eating vegan and eat highly inflammatory foods, which most vegans do. That's why they look like shit. And you're going to see, whoa, the most muscular vegan. This guy's been a vegan bodybuilder for all these years. Okay, well, steroids work with any kind of, protein. And like steroids work for everyone, even vegans. And all these things that you'll see online are people that are juicing and they're vegan. Okay, so fine, whether it's moral or whatever. But there are highly inflammatory foods that you can consume and still be keto. Highly inflammatory foods that you can consume with paleo. And then it's just like you figure out what you should be eating, and then you can kind of, go from there, like what your preference is. But yeah, I'm with you on that. Personally, keto was not for me. I like my sweet potatoes. I feel amazing on them. My carbs, I would say low overall, high fat, and then low moderate protein. You don't need as much protein as you think you do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, well, I understand that. Personally, I eat higher protein just because I generally eat vegetables and fruit. So like I always try to get a little bit more protein just because, strength training and stuff like that. So when I go in, I'm there for 2-3 hours sometimes. So it's like I really, really want that protein to help the muscles recover and everything like that.
That's the sugar.
But I definitely
that's the carbs, man. Saying. So I have before I go work out, I have a sweet potato. Afterwards, I have a sweet potato. I don't even take protein right after I work out.
Really?
Yeah. So when I came home, I worked out. I went right to the fridge. I grabbed a sweet potato. I just put it right in my freaking napkin. I walked the dog, ate the sweet potato. I haven't had protein all day. I haven't had any protein source today yet. So essentially, I guess I don't know if you want to call it intermittent protein fasting. I just don't categorize it. I just don't eat. I eat most of my protein, but it's my fatty burgers and stuff, later in the evening. Yeah. So I usually don't have a lot of protein. Chicken. Yeah. I mean, it's about trial and error. It's about figuring out what works best for you. But for me personally, it's not a lot of, it's not protein focused. It's more fat focused and my sweet potatoes. And then the protein is a part. I mean, I get plenty. I mean, I go by how I feel and how I look. I really just look in the mirror at this point. How do I feel? I feel pumped. I feel strong. I feel good. Okay. I feel a little flat. I'll eat a sweet potato. Like I adjust like that. That's literally what I do now. It's crazy. I love it.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, but you get so in tune with your body and you eat so consistent. And when you're very consistent, any little tweaks you notice and you can adjust. If you know those little subtle differences, when you're not feeling good or a certain way. Oh shoot, I didn't drink enough water today. Damn, you take a piss and it's a little bit yellow. Yeah, I'm a little dehydrated. I need to, up the ante, blah, blah, blah. So flood my body with water and coffee. And yeah, that's what I do. But
coffee's water. It's
tons
of
magic
bean water.
Magic bean water that dehydrates you.
Yeah. but is glorious for the gym.
I agree. But yeah, I do tons of fat, man. And I just don't suck down the protein powders. I don't do that kind of dairy, and I love it. And that's what's.
Oh yeah, I don't do dairy.
That's what's a sweet spot for me. But I don't subscribe or promote any of that gram per pound of body weight shit. I just know because I'm maintaining, I'm growing, I'm developing, I'm maintaining my strength. I feel great. I look, my body can change, and I'm not sucking down tons of protein. So how does anyone explain that? How does anyone explain that kind of, so it's kind of individual, but also I think that's part of the industry. It promotes itself. If you tell people you need a ton of protein supplements are going to sell. Protein's going to sell. You're going to just keep on, sucking protein. And
it's like that video where it's
yeah.
like the bodybuilders on the beach. Protein. Eating
Yeah,
protein
right?
powder out of the jug.
Yeah, just protein. But it's like, what about, and it's just, and most protein powders have metals in them. There's studies that show they have just from processing and
Yeah.
and then it gets gummed out. Just think about your protein bottle when you're shaking it up, it gets stuck on the sides. That's what happens in your stomach too. That's what happens when the water like gets absorbed from the protein powder. You just have these like little particles of chocolate floating around in your butthole, and it comes out the same way. And if you're having protein farts, why do you think your body's like reacting to this shit? And people take I got the protein shits. Where's like the awareness?
That means you A, had too much, or B, had something unhealthy.
It's like, I know, but it's a common sense. Well, you ate this and you shit your brains out. Why don't people
keep taking it?
Right? You might have taken a little bit too much. You might have eaten a little too much. If you don't have a lot of fat and you just go right to keto, you're probably going to crap yourself because your body isn't used to having that much fat in the system. And people say, I'm going to lose weight. So they go raw vegan. You're going to have stomach ache and you're going to have like indigestion because your body's like, what the fuck is all this stuff? So that quick switch, your body does not change that quickly. You have this entire ecosystem in your intestines and your stomach that you've cultivated over decades. And all of a sudden you give it, the flip right there, there's going to be some issues.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and that's very individualized with nutrition. So that's not a right or wrong. That's what I do. That's my take. So, but here's the most important thing. You figure out what works best for you and what's working. And I encourage everyone, if you find something that's working for you, like don't change it if it's working. Don't change horses in midstream. If it's working and you're losing weight or you're seeing results, keep going, but you won't know unless you try something. So if someone's thinking about, I don't know if I should do keto, well, you can debate it. It goes back to what we talked about. You can debate and think about it endlessly, or you can try it and then see how you like it and see how you like it. Does it fit your schedule? And everyone's going to have their own opinion with protein powders or, I work long hours. I don't have time to eat. Well, that might be something that you need to do as an individual. If you're working 15 hours nonstop, you don't have the same luxury as someone else who works at home or who has a break at 12 or, everyone's schedule is different. So that's why some people intermittent fasting could be attractive. Keto could be attractive. Paleo could be attractive. And I honestly have to say that there's really no right or wrong there, as long as on a fundamental level, you're not eating foods that are inflammatory to your body. Then the style of eating and when you eat and the timing, the nutrient timing becomes a lot less important.
Yeah. On the topic of inflammatory foods, you asked earlier about like how my psoriasis cleared up.
Yeah.
A lot of it is dairy. I did a lot of research and stuff like, dairy, for me personally, like my skin would crack and it'd get itchy and it gets flaky if I was drinking a lot of milk because I used to like to eat cereal or whatever, a small bowl or whatever.
Yeah.
And it would flare up. Alcohol would make it flare up. It's like certain things that you find. It's just like, holy, why is my hand itchy when it wasn't itchy two days ago?
What sure. Absolutely.
So it's a lot of those things where it's like, but dairy is like one of the top things that I, if I do have anything, it's maybe a glass of skim milk once every 3 months.
How do you feel after you have that? Do you feel any indigestion? How do you feel after you?
I never really paid attention. Sometimes I would get I would feel like heavier, like I could feel it.
Yeah.
But it was but I honestly, I don't miss it. Like I never drank a lot of milk as a kid anyway. So
yeah. Well, if
they're like, oh,
it
drink
depends.
milk for broken bones, and I was a freaking klutz as a kid. Like spent most of my childhood in casts and braces and shit because I was always jumping off of houses on the trampoline.
Yeah, well, drinking milk is not going to help that. And milk is not good for your bones, and that's just it's amazing the marketing, and that's a huge industry. And whey used to be waste. The powder used to be wasted part of the dairy, and they started making protein powder and powders out of it and removing the whey and skimming it off. Thus, you have skim milk.
Right.
It's just repackaging. It's repackaging thing. They repackage the waste and then they make it a product, and it's still from dairy and it can still cause a lot of issues. So all I'm asking, or all I promote, or all I encourage is the positive aspect that your body is an individual organism that will react to certain things in a certain way. And you don't know unless you start going through this process. Now, if you go through and you feel 100% fine with dairy and you literally, I don't care. Like, I personally don't care if you want to suck down 10 glasses a day. It's your life. But to go through life and to not either care or not apply yourself in order to figure this out just seems negligent. It just seems negligent to not care and not have a vested interest in your own personal nutrition.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, man. Well, bro, I'm not gonna keep you any longer. I think we're gonna probably do this again. We'll probably have some more topics, and I'll see the questions, and we'll have to probably do another round of this. But I want to ask you one more.
I'm down.
Yeah, I want to ask you one more thing. What would you recommend to everyone that's listening, and watching, and a lot of people are going to pick up the podcast later on? It's Friday night, so people are out being shitty assholes right now. What would you recommend if there's one thing that you can say to the Swolenormous Nation? What piece of advice, what statement, what would you recommend them in terms of what you've experienced in your journey of weight loss and approaching fitness? What's your piece of advice that you would offer?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I would personally
heavy. Yeah, just
say
just something.
That don't quit when you don't see the results that you want just yet. Keep going, be consistent. You know, it's a grind. It's losing weight and stuff like that. It's simple, but it's difficult, and it's got to be difficult because if it's not, you don't grow and you don't change, and you go in and you bust your ass even when you don't want to. You know, like, have your recovery days, be smart and listen to your body, and, you know, just go in and don't be afraid to grind, and, you know, don't care what other people think other than the people that you seek advice from.
I got it.
I got it. People are always gonna hate, and people are always gonna say things that you don't want to hear, but, you know, it's about how you take it in stride. And how you keep moving, and how you handle negative situations and turn them into positive situations, and how you keep pushing forward no matter what happens in life, in relationships, in family, and in anything. You keep moving forward. Life is a grind, so why shouldn't fitness be?
Boom. Dude, holy closing. And you forgot one thing. You forgot watch the Daily Swole. You forgot that part.
Watch the Daily Swole. That's number freaking one. That's number one.
Hell yeah. So remember, everyone, follow Steve on Instagram. Check him out at @Ellefson, STELFSON. And bro, thank you so much for your time tonight. I know everyone's saying, Steve, you're awesome. Awesome information. If you're just following now and you're catching the tail end of this podcast, wait till I throw this thing up or watch the replay, because it's awesome. If you're watching it on any of my channels, you'll see his before and after picture. It was amazing. So, Steve, dude, thank you so much for your time, man. And we'll hook up again soon. I'll follow up with a DM after the show.
Definitely, man. Thank you for having me. And I appreciate all your time, and I appreciate all your awesome followers with all the compliments and everything.
Hell yeah, man. And yeah, absolutely, bro. Have a great evening. And don't forget to not have that skim milk this weekend, you know?
Yeah, no skim milk for a while.
No skim milk for a while. All right, brother. Dude, thanks for your time again, and we'll talk soon.
All right, man. Have a good night.
You too, man. Take care.
Bye.
All right, fam. You heard it from the man himself. What a great guy. What a great interview. And it's one thing for you to hear it from me, but this is literally someone who's been overweight, who has had those struggles, who has personal fucking struggles like everyone else. But no matter what, if we disagreed on something, let's say, okay, he's taking supplements, so the fuck what? So he drinks skim milk once in a while, so the fuck what? Keto, paleo, whatever your nutrition is, whatever your fitness profile is or your fitness approach is, it all comes down to the mindset. It all comes down to not stopping, because like he said, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a challenge. You're going to hit a fucking wall. It's not going to work. You're going to do something and feel tired. You're going to feel like shit. You're going to feel exhausted. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get someone that makes fun of you for packing your meals. You're going to have someone say, well, what are you losing weight for? Come on, you only live once. Come on, just have some beer and pizza. If it's important to you, It's important to you, and that's it. That's it. If it's important to you, you can do it. And there's nothing that limits your ability to execute and get this shit done. Nothing except you and except what's up here. So that's really a very powerful takeaway, is that you have every ability, every last ability to get this done. And the most important thing is not quitting. If you quit, you get nothing. So just don't quit. It's not going to be easy. If you understand that going in, that it's going to suck and be fucking hard, it's a lot easier to keep moving forward. That's guaranteed. It's guaranteed that it's going to be hard, and it's guaranteed you're going to fail at something. You're going to try a new exercise and it's not going to work out well, or you're going to train for an entire week and not lose a single pound. Oh my God, I didn't lose a pound this week. Well, so what? The stock market doesn't always go up every fucking day or every week or every month or every year. It's all about the long term. Okay? If you want to have an accurate representation of success, look at Facebook stock, look at Amazon stock, look at Disney, look at Google, look at any of those. You go in like a 5-day window and you're going to see fucking down, plummet, up, down. You go in a 1 year, you're going to see up, down, but eventually it's going to kind of go up. You look at like a 20-year window and you just see like this. Because in the long run, it goes up. In the short term, it's going to go up and down. And when you look at one of those graphs, every time it goes down, even a little like a cell, even just like a little minuscule bit, every time it drops, that's one of those times where it's a reason or an excuse for you to quit. It's another reason for you to stop. It's a reason for you to quit. It's a reason for you to give up. And the ones that succeed are the people that don't give up when it goes south. When it goes down, they don't give up. Because if they give up, they don't get the result. It's supposed to go down, but it only goes up relative. It's only a high point relative to a low point. And wherever you are now, there's always room for improvement. And if you want it, you can go get it. So thank you so much for joining me for episode 784 of the mother Swole. 784 on a Friday, the most muscular Swolecast, Beercast, Broadcast, Gaincast, Pimpcast, and Slaycast in the realm, because when I flex, you flex. We all flex our biceps. Thanks again to Steve for the awesome podcast. And I will see everyone tomorrow for episode 785. Later, fam.